In a vacuum of space, pretend we're sufficiently far away enough from all matter except for me and you. If we were moving parallel, could I make the claim we weren't even moving? What solid point in the universe are we comparing movement to? Say we live in a 3D universe where every point can be explained by three numbers, x, y, and z. That would mean that there's this point P in the universe that's rigidly stuck where it is. But there's nothing rigid about the universe. No boundary, no center. So, a man named Hermann Minkowski, one of Einstein's teachers, said let's add a fourth dimension, time. As well as space, x, y, and z, I can say we also move through time. If I were to explain this point P instead of x, y, z, but now x, y, z, and t, in the universe at that given time, it's devoid of action, so P would in fact be a rigid point in the universe. The consequence is now our models need to be written for 4 dimensions. If you've done senior school mathematics, you'll be familiar with the imaginary unit. The good thing about I is that we can use it to make a new axis. For the 4-dimensional universe, you could imagine an infinite number of 3-dimensional spaces, one corresponding to each I time t. Whatever the value for the imaginary unit I is the time, and the corresponding 3D space at that time, we could explain any x, y, and z within that 3D space specifically. For example, 3-dimensional point P at x, y, z is different at time I compared to at time 2i. A consequence of this 4-dimensional space is light cones. When light is produced, it travels in all directions all at once in a 3-dimensional world. So that means essentially a sphere of light is created around a light source. Imagine for a second that the universe was 2-dimensional and light's propagation was instead a circle. For every time t, the circle would get bigger and bigger. If we looked at it from the perspective of the imaginary axis, we would see side on the circle getting bigger and bigger, which in itself would form a cone shape for any given time. This means that at any time, the light has gone this far, and because nothing can travel faster than light from our current models, everything would have to happen within inside this light cone. Because you can't ever escape the light cone and travel backwards, traveling backwards in time functionally is impossible.